especially Kibler with his expressions. Like he's really vocal with his face expressions, if you can say so. Okay, so we are seeing the gameplay, and this is a face hunter because that Worgen Infiltrator kind of gives it away.
Yeah, Worgen Infiltrator is a card that used to be played in Shockedin, but I hadn't seen it in Hunter before GVG came out and the new adaptations of Face Hunter came to light.
Mm-hmm. Very true. And on the other hand, we have a Paladin, which is the standard mid-range Paladin, I think.
It looks like it, definitely. I mean, there's a BGH there, so it's probably not going to be on the highly aggressive side. And Paladin Shredder seems to indicate that it is something of a value-oriented Paladin deck.
Mm-hmm.
Kibler playing tracking
into Abusive Sergeant. That's most likely what will go and happen. We have to say that Unleash the Hounds will be super valuable against Paladin. It's like one of the best cards here. Yeah.
Yeah, when you know there's a possibility of muster for battle, and the 1/1's getting spawned non-stop, you do have to keep that in mind as well.
Mm-hmm. And the Muster for Battle is just being picked up. So most likely we'll see Hero Power Up and next turn Muster for Battle, right?
Yeah,
and
probably. I mean, it's
really
not a
gamble.
bad play.
Yeah, you can't really gamble that you will have that your opponent will always have Unleash the Hounds, right?
No, you can't make that assumption. Otherwise, you really end up playing almost nothing, and that's a bit
the
of a
draw kinda changes the situation because Knife Juggler
really
and Muster for Battle, it's something that can change the whole game against Hunter. The problem is you have already Consecration in your hand, so it's almost similar in concept, right? Because it basically achieves the same thing. So I would rather see here Big Game Hunter or just Massive Battle, and then the 1/1 charges into the 2/1, I mean the 3/1 in this occasion, and then you ignore the Leok for a second, I think.
Yeah, I mean the upside of the lines of play that you could take with BGH is that you're not really worried about seeing.
Yeah,
you could maybe see a Doctor Boom, but you might find a Alor Peacekeeper by the time that does happen.
Yeah, but I would really love to see him play the Big Game Hunter here, because you have to get rid of the Leok. Okay, he kills the Leok anyway. That's very good, because if you would sacrifice the Worgen Infiltrator and then Unleash the Hounds goes into play with 2 attacks each, that would be like disastrous. And also Kibler is sticking to his game plan, only face damage, and that's how you win against Paladin.
Yeah, you let them make the trades. If you're lucky enough that they don't find what they need very early, you can generally steal the win from them. Consecrate falls down and will remove the board from Kibler, who, I mean, the Paladin is pretty low on health, and the Hunter is at a fairly comfortable range, and unless StrifeCro finds healing or taunt, there is still a really good chance that Kibler managed to take the game.
Yeah, we'll have to see what will be the draws. Or like Eagle Bow is perfect. It's 8 points of damage each turn because you have the hero power, which can be squeezed into the perfect curve, and then your bow will deal 6 points of damage itself. So with 2 hero powers and 2 turns, you get 10 points of damage, and you have also kill command and unbeast in your hand. So basically, turn 6 can be 8 points of damage, and that's 1 point of lethal.
So you have to play Lotheb here, I guess, to prevent the insta-lethal potential, but I mean, how do you really counter the game? I know the StrifeCro is probably running Defenders of Argus. That seems to be a really obvious card.
Only Leo Jenkins would guarantee lethal here. So you're in a tough spot anyway. Like, I don't see how...
Yeah.
Please forward.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm just saying, like, you have to at least play something on the board that's going to deny the Hunter the ability to just burst you down to the point where you die to hero power on the back end.
Mm-hmm. But you're in such a bad position. It's turn 5, you got 9 points of HP. You will get at least 3 points next turn, and most likely more than that, because there's hero power. If there will be like a Wolf Rider or Arcane Golem. Well, Arcane Golem and hero power is lethal, so that's like one of the draws that can guarantee that.
Well, StrifeCro is going to be trying to put as much damage on the board by playing Juggler and the...
Explosive Trap.
Oh, Explosive Trap is pretty much a...
So you do...
That's sealing the game here
for
Kibler.
Attack phase and hero power, and that's basically game.
Yeah, because unless the...
wait, how many... No, that's not enough. You got only 10 points of damage with...
and he finds the Defender of Argus. He does find the defensive Argus, which is exactly what he
turn too
needed
late.
last game, but
Yeah.
it's a bit too late here. The bow got the damage that it needed to. And Kibler is, I mean, he's just going to be taking this game away from StrifeCro. I mean,
Well, that was-
despite the fact that StrifeCro took the early lead, I mean, he did have the mini-bot and the muster for battle, but that wasn't enough.
Yeah, definitely. That was really a favorable matchup for Kibler here.
Yeah.
Because you want to finish the game before turn 8, when Leon Hands can change the game, or Tyrion can seal the deal if you don't have an owl. That would be a problem for Kibler, but he stick to his plan, so he just dealt fakes damage, and that's basically what was happening the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the way you play Face Hunter. A lot of the time, there are matchups in which Face Hunter is a bit more subtle to play, right? Where you do have to make some decisions, but in this case, that wasn't it. And that means that Kibler is going to have 2 decks on the back end. He's going to be having his Druid and his Mage left, and StrifeCro is going to be able to reuse his mid-range pally if he feels like he needs to, and he eventually will have to anyway to win the series. But for the time being, Kibler could be going for Druid or Mage. I'm inclined to say that he's going to be picking Mage, but we'll have to see what he's going to be going with.
Well, we already got the information. Kibler will go for Druid and StrifeCro will go for Mage. So quite a good read by StrifeCro here if he's playing Mech Mage. So that's this might be the other way around. The last game was heavily favored in Kibler's position. For Kibler, and now it might be for StrifeCro. It still depends on the deck builds. Like if the Druid will be heavy taunt ramp against a Mech Mage, then StrifeCro will have a problem. But when you play in a league like this, when you can prepare for your opponent, you kind of know his playstyle. And Kibler is a player that heavily favors beat down decks, like Fast Druid, an example. That's a perfect comparison to green beatdown decks from Magic.
Green red beatdown, or always systematically.
Is basically tied to green color in Magic, and that's like almost Druid in Hearthstone when it comes to
essentially
creatures.
Yeah, definitely. You can ramp and you can get those big bodies on the board. You hit for big chunks of health at a time instead of just whittling away at them like you do with Face Hunter here and there. You don't really burst them down. You just kind of whittle them away instantly, and they can't respond to the board because you always charge them up. But it is going to be a probable, fast Druid from Kibler. I really doubt that he'd be playing some kind of ramp deck. I mean, I don't know that he likes the playstyle too much.
Well, there's a White Grove.
Oh wow, what is it then? It could be
anything.
No, it could be anything.
But jokes aside, every single Druid has innovates, but not every single Druid has Wild Groves. If you play like a token Druid, you don't play Wild Groves then. Double Wild Groves with Ancient of Lore. Well,
this is good and bad.
Yeah, this is both good and bad. If StrifeCro would have a slow hand, then this is like insanely good for Kibler. But in this situation, when there's already Mech Warper in StrifeCro's hand, this is really looking rough for the Druid player.
Yeah, and he's forcing his opponent to have a Wrath here, which I really do like. It says if you don't have Wrath, like if you have Wrath, you're not Wild Growthing, and if you don't have Wrath, then I just win the game, right? That's kind of what this Mech Warper is saying at this point. Well,
exactly. Spider Tank in this position at 4 points of health against Druid is basically saying, okay, you have to use your Druid of the Claw in charge mode or a swipe to get rid of that. And there's still a Mech Warper on the board, which kinda, puts you in a position when you have, like, he has the dot on his forehead that you have to kill that first. And every single creature that will be played next turns will be more powerful than the last turn, most likely. So it's really a hard position for the Druid to make a comeback.
This is a story of Choo Choo the Chugga. I mean, that's the way he rolls. He just freezes you every single turn. And the fun part about... I mean, there is a Kazan Mystic, though, in the Druid's hand. Like, you have to keep that in mind. If StrifeCro goes for some kind of secret play soon, I mean, through Mad Scientist or through his hand otherwise...
I think he will just drop bodies on the ground,
like drop the bodies on the ground. Kill everyone.
Yeah, well, this turn will be Tinkertown Technician. Turn 4
Yeah.
will be either Goblin Blast Mage or just Mad Scientist and Chugga Chugga. And I think Mad Scientist and Chugga Chugga are way better, even if there was something on board from Druid side. Because you still, you will draw into more mechs. Oh, he goes for the Mirror Entity.
Oh man, that's gonna be a happy. Kibler is gonna be taking that secret. I can tell you that much.
Like, you just saw a swipe. Why would you think that there's something that will, be really bad for a Tinkertown Technician? This game just turned like 180.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I want to say yes. I like this Innervate Wild Growth, going to allow him to play the Ancient of Lord without having to Innervate next turn. That's really, really clever from him. Kibler knows that getting something on the board next turn is going to be mandatory, so Innervating out Wild Growth, as weird as it sounds, is still a pretty good play. It's funny that you ramp your ramp.
So,
kind of,
yeah, that's true. Very funny. But now StrifeCro's forced into playing Mad Scientist into Chugga Chugga, because if there would be no Mirror Entity from the Druid side, he would just play a 4-mana minion like Pelted Shredder, right?
Yeah, but it's much like when you have a Mirror Entity, just feed him something that's going to give him 0 value. But
well, it's not like 0 value. You basically lose a turn and give him a minion.
Yeah, it's the least bad minion to give him at the very least. Imagine if Druids were playing Secrets. This would be devastating. I mean, this would be the worst.
Double Shade of an Extremis. That's very interesting. And there's already a Savage Roar, so I think Kibler will go into a very aggressive mode when he will just ignore whatever will be played on board and kill StrifeCro with those shades with a Savage Roar.
He needs to find a force of nature, though. I mean, those 2 shades are good, but on their own, unless StrifeCro plays excessively slowly, they're not going to be able to do as much as he might want them to. So, I mean, if he gets double shade next turn with a good Wrath, and then finds himself a force of nature 2 turns down the line.
Good target for Mirror Entity that is now up from StrifeCro. So basically play Keeper, Silence, Pelted Shredder, Wrath, Pelted Shredder, kill, or just ignore the board. I mean,
actually,
kill
you can,
the Keeper and just go face. Because basically you want to put the mage into defensive mode when he will be trading, and not the other way around, because you have a really bad comeback mechanism as a druid.
Yep, it's very hard as a druid. If the board goes out of your hands, essentially, swinging back in the game is very tough. I wonder what Kibler's gonna go for. I mean, if he's running double combo, does he even consider just going all out aggression and force the mage to play around turn 9 insta-kill? I'm curious. Because, I mean, if Kibler goes face with that Ancient of Lore, he's representing combo, right? And then StrifeCro is going to be a little scared about that.
When you commit to double shade, then you have to wrap the Snow Chugger, because you have to get those additional 2 points of damage for the Savage Roar with your hero, and or just not make a move when your opponent can freeze your minions.
Well, what was the point of killing that Clockwork Gnome is what I'm wondering. I feel like it's a bit weird. Maybe
he didn't want to tell StrifeCro that he has Savage Roar in his hand, because basically if he would attack into face, it would be like saying, okay, I got Savage Roar, I want to kill you as SAP, right? And with this defensive play, he will go like for longer game, but oh damn, that was so close of turning the game around with that single Goblin Blast Mage.
It's still not too far away. I mean, if you look at this board, I'm not exactly sure. Kibler needs to find something amazing here, because the Shredder and the Blast Mage are contesting this board like no tomorrow. And honestly, for Kibler to compete with those, with only a 3-2, that doesn't seem very likely. You get a Doomsayer, right? You attack into that Paladin Shredder and you get a Doomsayer. Always.
I think Keeper will be just killing the Cogmaster.
Oh, wow.
Especially with double Savage Roar.
Well, that's kind of getting interesting, but you're dead in 2 turns.
Well, you have to play for the win, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you need to find that combo, though.
So
I mean, if you do get the combo, how do you win with it? You don't really have enough damage, even with 1 roar.
So let's count the damage. If you kill the Cogmaster, then you get 9 points of damage. You will armor up for 1, so you basically lose anyway.
Yeah.
within 2 turns. There's no way. Even with the weakest draws from StrifeCro,
You would die from the
possible.
board and just the ping, exactly. So you need to find healing, and then... I mean, you need to find some really funky board state alterations in order to make this swing back in your favor. And I don't know if Kibler can really do it. This is a really lopsided matchup sometimes.
silence the piloted shredder, sacrifice the Shade of an Extramas, and use one Savage Roar to kill the Cogmaster. It feels like you lose the game instantly when you do that, but it's a lose-lose situation.
That's what I'm feeling like. I feel like there's really no good line of play because there is really no good play, right? As weird as it sounds. So he might just trade into the Shredder, and although if he doesn't trade into the Shredder, then he's playing for the combo play. And
Well, I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I thought that when he would kill the Cogmaster with the Keeper, then he would just stay hidden with the Shade. I don't know.
yeah, I don't blame you. It just feels like that's what you would expect. But I mean, at this point, Kibler needs to. Actually, there's no win for him. I can't think of a way for him to swing
if
back.
He
I mean, maybe
planned
Deathwing.
to trade. Sorry for interrupting you, but if he was planning into trading for the Python Shredder anyway, he should have played it first to see the outcome, and
Of course, yeah.
Then he would kill the Ooze with the Keeper and not the Cogmaster.
Well, that swipe is, I want to say helpful, but
Well, it will basically mean that he will live one turn, but you have no way of winning game.
well, we'll see what comes out of that Powdered Sky Golem.
No, you don't kill it. You just ignore it.
I mean, yeah. Well, it's going to just go face and kill you with Fireball afterwards.
Well, what can you do? You know. Even with Force of Nature, it's only 18 points of damage.
Yeah.
So you would
It's
need
nowhere close.
a Innervate, Force of Nature, double Savage Roar to kill your opponent. That's 22, 24, 26. Yeah, that would be lethal, but there's no way you can draw 2 cards in one draw.
I'm
there's
still waiting on
also-
Deathwing. Still waiting on Deathwing. I mean, it's been multiple days so far in the Kingdom Pro League, and I still haven't seen a single Deathwing, and I'm really disappointed. He is Power Incarnate, but nobody's running him. Oh, wow. That's
Belcher.
peculiar. Yeah,
That's
kind of interesting. Well, let's see what
does it
comes out of
change
that
anything?
Well, with the reversing switch, I don't think so, but depending on what comes out of the Shredder. 4 mana, could get a Jeeves, honestly.
Well,
Yeah, I think you have to try to kill the Shredder and see where things go. Oh, he's just going
just
face and
face.
hoping the mage gets nothing. He's gonna play for the win, hopes he can top deck Savage Roar.
Yeah.
And I mean, Force of Nature and his opponent
I really
finds
like that.
nothing.
but
And
that's
actually,
that's a
right
taunt.
now...
There's the trumpet, right? that
Actually,
gives
there's
taunt.
lethal. You attack into the Belcher, you switch it back, you ping the slime, you
Yeah.
attack for 6.
You're very right. But
That is,
we already saw Life Coach missing one lethal with a part. So
Yeah.
we'll see if StrifeCro sees it.
I think he will, right? I
Well,
mean,
he's playing 2 creatures now without going for lethal first. So it's the enemy, or just doesn't see it.
no, he's just not thinking about it. What? There's
Oh,
no
he
way
sees
he
it.
misses
Yeah,
that. There is no way he misses that. Come on.
He sees it now. Okay.
All right, there we go. Down goes the slime, and onwards goes. I couldn't believe this. You can't have 2 professional players miss the spare parts win. I mean, I don't believe that. There's no way. So StrifeCro takes the win.
I think like most of the players are. He was shaking his head. You saw that, right? StrifeCro was missing the play, the lethal play at first, but I think most of the players, when they are getting used to those spare parts, they're keeping in mind that those are meant for like Antonidas, so you don't even use them
Yeah.
unless you draw an Antonidas. So you just keep them as blanks, and those are potential fireballs, and that's it. Or maybe you think about the taunt spare part that can be useful for a Black Knight or whatever, but most of the time you're not even not even think about what those cards can change. And those can be really impactful.
Yeah, they can give you wins out of nowhere. So we're going to be moving on to the next game. It's going to be Kibler's Druid. He's going to go back to Druid. And StrifeCro is going to be picking up his Warlock. So that's going to be kind of an interesting matchup, depending on what kind... Well, it's going to be interesting regardless, but I really want to see what StrifeCro brought. Is it Handlock? Is it mid-range Warlock with Giants? Is it mid-range Warlock with Demons? Is it Demon Handlock? Like, what kind of Warlock is it? We're seeing so many Warlock types nowadays that I'm actually getting a little... eager to see it all. And after Blackrock Mountain with the Imp Gang boss, I really want to see what comes out of it.
You think Zoo will make a comeback? Because it's like meant to be. Zoo has to make a comeback at some point of the game.
Yeah, it will. I mean, one day it will. I don't know when. Maybe the day that you can have like Demon Synergy that's not, you know, Mal'Ganis or Demon Heart. Maybe Demon Fire will come back. I don't know.
Bane of Doom. Like, I think that's a really cool card, but it really needs to like draw the demons from the whole pool and not only few of those demons, because the rest is like too powerful. Doesn't make any sense, right?
The StrifeCro's hand seems to indicate that...
Oh, wow.
Dread Infernal.
Is that the match that we were playing? Against each other? With
yeah,
the Infernals?
Yeah, that's exactly what we were playing last time. Demon Lock at its finest.
It looks like a mix between Demon Lock and Handlock, right?
Yeah, that's the Demon Handlock variant of mid-range lock. There's so many of them now that it's really hard to give them a name, but yeah, that's pretty much exactly what you're looking at. And that Innervate for the Kibler's Shade here really puts it out of Hellfire range on turn 4, which is super important. She needs to live. She really does need to live.
That's a she?
Well, I say she because Shade is a feminine noun, but I mean, it could be Johnny the Shade.
Did you see his specs?
Okay, so it's Johnny the Shade?
Yeah. That's
okay, Johnny the Shade. Okay. Sounds good.
Amaz would be really proud of us.
Yeah, Johnny the Shade, and what's the name of the Murloc? I forget.
The spider was Skittles, right?
Skittles?
The spider, yeah. The hunted creeper.
Really?
And
okay, I didn't know that. Alright, that's pretty cool.
I can remember the Murloc though. But
Billy the Murloc.
Billy?
Billy the Murloc Raider, I'm sure that's it. Chat must be screaming right now. Like, all those Amaz viewers must be screaming at us. They're not paying attention to the stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about those Ancient Watchers? Will there be like a Wailing Soul in there?
If there's a Wailing Soul, I will bow down to StrifeCro. I mean, you know what Druid actually had, when Nax came out, a lot of Druids were trying out Wailing Soul decks, and then Fel Reaver came out, and it came back. Then it was all over again, you had the Wailing Soul cycle with Druid, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I really love the idea of Wailing Soul decks, and I still think that they will make a comeback when Breeze Mage will be on top, and when there will be more minions that you can take advantage of silencing themselves, so, you know, more powerful minions than Zombie Chow.
Yeah, the thing is, you really want to get, like, Fel Reaver is a good example. The problem is, obviously it's BGH target, but the worst part is, you are relying on 2 silence options, so that Druid deck was actually effectively running even, you know, Spellbreakers and 2 Keepers of the Grove, so it had like 5 silence sources, 1 Spellbreaker, 2 Keepers, and 2 Wailing Souls, so that was a super heavy Wailing Soul deck, and it was super fun, but it didn't, you know, work the way that I hoped it would.
That's true. Well, let's talk about the game now, and it feels like there's one card missing in Kibler's hand, and it is Savage Roar.
Yeah, it's close enough, but not quite there. And there's no coil to abuse that Druid of the Claw right now, funny enough. But Dread Infernal is as good as a coil in this position. It's a mass coil. Rogues are getting mass backstab, but Warlocks have had mass coil for a little while now.
Won't you just play Sylvanas here?
Yeah, you could.
Because you're dead anyway to a Savage Roar or combo or whatever in few turns, and if you don't play the Sylvanas right now, you don't have time to play it afterwards. The other play is Hellfire.
Your first watcher, so I could see a good argument to be made for that line of play.
I think Hellfire and Ancient Watcher with the type of play you want to do. Otherwise, he's playing a Watcher and just taunts up. And Dark Bomb? Okay.
And Drew the Claw goes down. Wow, that's a really expensive Mortal Coil. That was a really expensive Mortal Coil. Now BGH can't be played. That Shade has reached the critical point of you can't play me as a body now. Well, you could... Yeah, you can't silence those guys. You got a Wrath. There's a pretty good... I mean, there's a few options that Kibler has, but ultimately they're all going to be giving the initiative back to StrifeCro.
I'm thinking, how can you change the board here? I think that's the turn when you want to unshade the next, right?
It feels so bad when you can just get an auto win with it, right?
Yeah, that feels really bad. But
I don't hate the Wrath hero power and then just wait a little bit before you establish more of a board even.
So maybe it's even better to just play Druid of the Clone taunt mode and sacrifice your Zombie Chow to kill the Ancient Watcher.
Well, that's not a bad draw.
Well, yeah, Loatheb is
that's
way
a
better.
sick draw, actually, yeah.
I mean,
you're not afraid of dying, and if there's a Shadow Flame, it's gonna cause... He can't play Shadow Flame with the Loatheb if you do play it, so your board is somewhat safe to an extent. Alright, goes for the taunt play. Into Siphon Soul you go. But there's none, unfortunately. StrifeCro was probably betting on his ability to kill that 4/6. At this point in the game, you would expect him to be able to, but unfortunately, he can't.
So I think he's pushed into playing Hellfire this turn, because then you can kill both creatures, I mean Zombie Chow and the Druid of the Claw, and still get a draw from the Immortal Coil.
What if Dread Infernal Coil is done? I mean, you could kill Druid of the Claw with Hellfire and get the 5 health back, but you don't develop a board, so it's really... I guess it's a toss-up. And he goes and plays Sylvanas, a turn after the turn you would have maybe played it. And I'm curious to see...
my play was just because I saw both hands of the opponents.
Right.
So it was like really easy when you see both hands, but when you play that game and you have to predict what's going on, then the Sylvanas play wasn't so obvious, that's for sure.
Oh man, if you don't play Loatheb here, what if Sylvanas... He has to silence Sylvanas if he doesn't go face, because imagine a Shadow Flame with Sylvanas at this point. Imagine that. That would be devastating, so... You have to either Loatheb to prevent the Shadow Flame or play the Keeper of the Grove to deny the Sylvanas value. And he is going to get himself some pretty nice... I mean, he's going to remove the taunts for the time being, and that's going to force StrifeCro to find a way to taunt up again, and he's only got a Sludge Belcher, so it's going to have to be a board wipe or a super high amount of heal.
That's an interesting turn. I think attacking into the undamaged Watcher is better and kill it with the Druid of the Claw.
But you can kill the other one with your... I guess the upside of that play that you mentioned is the fact that it would die to Hellfire, but by attacking into the other one, it also dies to your hero power next turn, so... Oh, Loatheb is not a bad card, but... Is it good enough? Actually, yeah, you play Loatheb and then you Earthring Farseer or your Ancient. That's a bit frustrating. Oh man, there's a BGH for Malaganis if that does come down.
That's true. Well, but 9/9 Shade.
Yeah, that's getting really high, and that's the thing. That's why Sylvanas needed to be dealt with. I mean, if she gets that Shade, the Druid's entire, waiting period, him lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right time, was completely wasted. So that silence on Sylvanas was pretty solid. Yeah, I really like healing up the Ancient Watcher, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did it. That way, Druid of the Claw, I mean, the face just doesn't cut it.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what's done. Oh my goodness. What a setback.
So now you have to play your own Loatheb or just Ancient of Lore. I think Ancient of Lore was way better. Then you can draw into...
Swipe?
Innovate Second Savage Roar.
Actually, that would probably be the best outcome possible. Because you can use your face to kill the Washer, and then you just go face with a Shade that hits for a total of 14. That would be obscene. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
14
I can't imagine that.
damage Shade. This is disgusting. Oh
Well,
man, straight out of Nax Ramus.
you have to go with the Ancient of Lore, that's for sure.
Oh, we say that, but we've said that about multiple lines of play that were made by a lot of players in the past, and we were wrong. So, I guess our evaluation of the plays that they take are maybe based on us seeing both hands.
Yeah, for sure. We're biased, you know?
Yeah, pretty biased, but still, he goes for the play, and I think it makes quite a bit of sense.
Well, it wouldn't make sense if we would have that piloted shredder before the Ancient of Lore draw. Like, a low-tap piloted shredder would be the best thing you can do on turn 9, I think.
Well.
Well, you kill the Ancient of Lore really easily, and then play Belcher. I think that's basically it. Oh, and
I kind of
Giant.
like anti-Healbot. Like or it's Belcher or Healbot. I feel like both of them are acceptable.
Belcher will eat at least 7 points of damage, so it's like
a Healbot.
Yeah, it's a heal bot, and it gets you more value because there's a second minion, which is just a
Oh, that's a
pain in
big
the
draw
back.
here, getting that Belcher out of the way.
Yeah.
When/if necessary.
So now low tip into Keeper, right?
I like the Keeper more than the Shredder just because it guarantees that if you find that Innervate,
That changes
well,
nothing.
whatever, yeah. In this
It
case,
just
we're gonna
adds
deal with
1
the-
point of damage from the hero power. But can you kill next turn when you don't
But
think
that would be
he
lethal, actually. If he silences the sludge and finds the...
He doesn't know that there's an ancient heal bot, and I think StrifeCro will actually use it next turn.
And this shade is going to the double digits. This is getting really scary for a 3-drop. Oh, man.
Well, value of that shade is basically none for now.
Yeah.
It's
But
like
the moment
it's
it
like
can
2
go and do
cards.
anything. Yeah.
You know, there's an Innervate in that, and a Shade of Nextramus, and it doesn't guarantee you win. So it feels like it's kinda not giving you back anything apart from the intimidation to your opponent, but that doesn't really change much for now. So now StrifeCro will be counting like how many points of damage will be it with the combo and the shade, and you know that 4 points will be soaked by the one ancient watcher. So basically the combo will get you 10, and then you will get 12 from the shade, so that's 22, so you're 1 of lethal. If you of course clear both minions.
Yeah, which is why you need the Innervate for the hero power. Which that's exactly why he needs it at this point. And I feel like there are so many lines of play that can be taken by... Like, StrifeCro's options are... I mean, this turn they're fairly limited because of Lothar, but he can still wipe the board very effectively.
So he will drop the ancient healbot, like most certainly, I think.
Oh, I'd be sad if he didn't, because that would be...
That's game.
That's game at that point if he doesn't do
Yeah.
that. I don't think he'll make the mistake of not playing around combo. It's too common and too obvious.
Well, the other play was Dread Infernal, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah, of course not.
So yeah.
Well,
That's not bad. You're not threatened by lethal next turn from the Warlock. So
oh man, you know what would be
Kibler is
amazing?
nothing.
Double power overwhelming into Shadow Flame. On a 3/3, man, this shade would cry. So hear it cry until the end of time.
I think you just play Wild Group first, see your draw,
Yeah,
or you
and then
count
develop,
on Ancient of Law into Innovate.
well,
Then you can play
both,
Piloted
honestly.
Shredder. Well, if
Yeah.
you draw Wild Growth into Innovate, then you play Ancient of Lore, and then you can't innovate Piloted Shredder. So maybe Ancient of Lore first is better because of that.
Yep.
Dr.
Oh,
Boom.
Dr. Boom.
Yeah, I don't blame Kibler playing here Wild Growth at the second card. I really like that.
Well, if he needs to find ideally Innervate and his Savage Roar.
Well,
that's a
if
big
he
card.
would use the Wild Growth first, he would get Dr. Boom. That would be way better.
Yeah,
than
in
the
this
Ancient of Lore.
specific case, it would have been better. Yeah.
That's the one card that would be better than anything else in the deck, right?
There's a few. So I guess you double coil in this position, or you can go for Dread plus coil. But you could also just Void Caller double coil.
Do you want to risk combo Innervate Rev to kill your Watcher. I don't think you want to do that.
You mean StrifeCro?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like something
So
you want
if
to
you
do.
would use Infernal, that will be basically it.
Yep. StrifeCro's got to get a little worried because that Ancient Watcher is the only thing standing between him and certain death. He's got to feel a little uncomfortable. Well, he's going to start the counterattack, but there's still no looming lethal next turn.
Yeah. Well, what can... Oh! Now the second Innovate is somewhere there. But
What
you,
if
you have
you
to
just
use your
play...
cards defensively.
What if
This
you play
turn.
Belcher Shredder? I feel like this is a pretty straightforward play. It's
Yeah.
boring, mind you, but
I think
it's
that's
the only
best
way you're
option.
gonna like you're gonna stabilize with a pretty high chance of with a pretty high certainty.
And still the Shade is basically doing nothing. It's like
And if
crazy.
the Doomsayer comes out of
Crazy.
that, I'm gonna cry.
Oh!
That's a
an-
top deck.
That's an important draw.
Yeah, definitely. StrifeCro here getting himself the ability to slow down his opponent even more. That Watcher was the last rampart before
So-
StrifeCro just got obliterated by combo, but the Venom of Argus is gonna stop
you know
that.
what you should do here is drop the Infernal and play Defender of Argus on your Void Color and whatever, and then if the Void Color is being killed, then there's a 50-50 of you getting Melganis and being invulnerable to anything.
Yeah, but I think you could also just go full faced, depending on. That Sludge Belcher also needs to eventually
you
die.
have
I'm just
to
curious
kill-
to see what StrifeCro was going to want to do because he has the option of going full offense, but it's kind of risky when you consider the fact that the Druid might have some sort of a double. Oh, that's lethal! What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Wait, the Zombie shall heal him? No, it doesn't. Wait,
No,
what?
it doesn't. It's really interesting.
Wow, that's really interesting.
That was brought up on Reddit,
Yeah.
like 1 day ago. That
Okay.
it's being kind of unclear how the battle cries and death rattles work. You know, because if an example, you use an agent, an SI7 agent with a combo to kill a mad scientist in MechMage, right? Then a mirror entity pops out and it copies your agent. So the logic conclusion in that is that battle cry goes first, then the death rattle triggers, and basically the mirror entity is being affects the battle cry, right? And
Yeah.
then when you play Black Knight into Taunted Sylvanas, it doesn't go that way, and it's also a situation like this: a death rattle effect doesn't really trigger before
On the
killing your
Battlecry minion.
opponent. Yeah,
But the tricky part is if you fire Elemental and Unstable Ghoul, and it kills a mad scientist, and the mad scientist summons a mirror entity, they will get, your fire elemental will take 1 damage, and they will get a copy of the damaged fire elemental. So there's a problem there, where like the nesting of effects is still quite unclear. And for that reason, I think a lot of people have requested rulebooks fairly understandably. I mean, a lot of pros still need to get around to knowing they have to learn all those little interactions that aren't completely clear in the game by default. So that being said, that is 2-1 here for StrifeCro, getting a win with his Warlock deck against the Druid. Kibler had really a long time to get that Shade. I mean, it stood there for what, 12 turns, 13 turns?
it didn't do anything because that was Innovate Shade
was
and
so
Summons
close.
turn 1.
Yeah.
And that was in one turn when I said you unshade the next right now, and I think that was really necessary then, because you would reverse the Warlock board control. There will be still the Shade of Exams that they have to deal with, because it didn't get it wasn't a 1/1 trade for the Ancient Watcher, and it would put out those taunts from the from your way. So Warlock will have to play defensively.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
I understand that, yeah. I mean, you had to do it at some point, but I feel like waiting for the combo play, although it felt a little greedy or very slow, ultimately, I feel like it was still the way to win in this position. He had very few chances of getting rid of the taunter. Like, if you unstell the Shade, your combo doesn't deal enough damage to kill the Warlock, since you know he's going to be healing up about 25 times. So you're taking a risk by not unstealthing the Shade. You really want to, one turn to kill your opponent when he's a Warlock now with double Farseer, double Healbot, double Sludge Belcher, Jaraxxus, Mal'Ganis. Like, he's got all sorts of ways to prevent lethal, so you want to be a little careful, and I feel like Kibler's line of play was pretty defendable.
That's true. That we as we said before, we see each hands from both players, so
yeah,
all decisions can be really made like way easier than the players that are playing the game.
Yep. So Kibler's got, again, he still has two of his decks. He's got his Mage and his Druid left, and StrifeCro is going to be down to his one deck, I believe the Paladin deck, that lost to the Hunter from Kibler. So that means Kibler... Actually, wait, does StrifeCro have another deck left? He won with Mage, he won with Warlock, so he's only got Paladin left.
He only got Paladin left.
And he's got to win against Druid and Mage. So
well, that's not so bad.
Yeah, it's really not that bad for the Paladin player. Well, really depending on how the decks come out, but...
It doesn't certainly feel bad like you have to win with your Paladin against a Face Hunter. So
yeah, it's much better.
It's way better.
That first match was pretty tough for StrifeCro. I don't think that's going to be any lopsided. I mean, obviously, Paladin is one of those classes that can be built multiple ways. We've seen the deck from StrifeCro, so we know that it's something of a standard mid-range pally with at least one defender of Argus on the list, so it seems to be following a pretty normal trend, I guess, as far as deck building goes. And I'm not too surprised. He's a very, very steady player, makes the wise choices. He will innovate. Once in a while, we've seen him bring some pretty interesting decks, but generally speaking, he's very apt at playing standard decks.
I agree here. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, this could be match point though for StrifeCro getting the win against Kibler. Kibler going up against one of the toughest players probably in the entire Hearthstone community. So winning this match would mean a lot for Kibler at this point.
That's the third game for both players, and StrifeCro is 2-0. I'm just checking the ranking. Yeah, StrifeCro has 2 wins, 0 losses, and Brand Kibler is 1-1 because he lost to 6-0 during week 1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there was a really sick sweep from Zixo and Kibler. So Kibler, what he wants to do here is equalize the scores, because if he goes 2-1, then the StrifeCro also goes from 2-0 to 2-1. So they'd be both on the exact same win rate.
Well, there's a really nice draw from Kibler here. Like, the curve is really good. Turn 1, turn 2, into Frostbow against anything.
Well, that's a really good hand for StrifeCro too. That Cog Hammer is going to be devastating against a Mech Mage. That takes essentially 3 minions away.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, well, I can just... Man. It felt like it's like a good hand, but now that mini-bot just ruined your whole plan.
Well, the one good thing, I guess, is that the Cog Hammer is not going to be coming out now. So... at least the shielded mini-bot is not going to get reshielded.
That's true, but if Kibler doesn't see the Cog Hammer going down, then he can ignore the 2-2, and that will guarantee that value from that. Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yep.
So basically, now it will be a 1-1 trade for the mini-bot. Well, 2-1 trade, because if you count the Cog Master...
Yeah, I really do like that line of play. I feel like you're setting yourself up to get a potential, even if you get a smallish minion, worst case scenario is going to be a mini bot or a knife juggler, right? Those are kind of the smallest things. Yeah, like the smallest thing you're going to get is like a shielded mini bot or a juggler, so you're pretty happy about pretty much anything you get.
Oh, he doesn't trade, okay.
Playing for value, okay. Can't blame him, but that's going to backfire a little bit here with that Cog Hammer.
It will cost him the Spider Tank, and that's really important when you have a Blessed Mage in your hand, you know, on turn 4.
Definitely.
Well I think the Cog Hammer is the best thing. Like, Peacekeeper doesn't really change so much, right?
It doesn't. Well, I mean, you could play for value into the Mad Scientist, I guess, but at that point, why would you give him the potential Blast Mage value? Definitely going to be a straightforward play. But then again, look at Kibler's board position of 4-5. Doesn't even die a Choose Over Champion, and he's got himself a Blast Mage and the Mirror Entity. Oh my god!
Oh man, that feels bad.
That is a huge draw.
That was like
Oh
a
my goodness.
Russian that's mirable, you know?
Yeah, I took that from him last Thursday. You know.
Yeah, but
I
they
got-
added the Slavic accent.
Yeah, the Slavic accent.
Huge draw. Oh, I was Scottish now, so never mind.
Yeah, you went full Scottish mode on me, man. Don't do that. All right. Are you from Cardiff?
I
Well.
just. Oh.
Well, that's I mean that's actually mediocre. You don't feel good about this, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
Oh man, that zombie Chow putting back the mage on the back foot. This doesn't further his agenda one bit. Not even close. You know, like a New World Order doesn't want to give health back to his opponents. That's what they don't do. Well, man. Do you
I
just
would like-
deny the mech, right?
Yeah, I think so. I would really like to say that Kibler has slim chances here. But it
Well,
doesn't
you
feel
find
like
yourself an
so.
Archmage Antonidas, and well, you're gonna get Lotheb. Never mind. You need to find the spare part that gives you stealth. Well, then again, look at this board state. There is really no way for StrifeCro to swing back, and that's a really nice hit from the Blast Mage, removing the Aldor Skill Keeper.
Well, okay, that was really important, that draw.
Do they just keep top decking one another until the end of this
I
game?
think
Because
so.
based on the hands, I can't tell you who's ahead, and then all of a sudden I just keep seeing, you know, top deck after top deck, and it
So-
balances out.
So next turn, it has to be Dr. Boom, right? And
Yeah, it's
then
gonna be Dr.
Antonidas,
Seven.
right?
Definitely. It's yep, Dr. Boom into Antonidas.
Well, you
I
first
don't
think
see
it down
why not.
technician for stealth.
Right, if you you're gonna be getting a mech. Well, I mean if it wasn't for that zombie Chow, the paladin would be in really deep trouble. Oh,
Well,
double
that's
Tinker
not
Town.
bad. That's not bad.
No, I don't think we can say it's bad. I think it's actually pretty solid. And the
And there's
stealth.
stealth. Okay, so now
Oh man.
now he has the second stealth.
Okay, no. If that Archmage comes out, this is gonna be the most devastating Archmage of all time.
Unless there will be an equality into consecration draw.
Well, there's a Lotheb, but it's not gonna. Oh, Black Knight is such a dead card until you find the hello, hello, hello.
Well, he didn't get a trumpet from these Yeti parts. The Black Knight is kinda, as you said, kinda dead. Still nice to see that Crucible Champion getting some value, but 4 million is nothing to sneeze on, I think. You're 19.
Yeah, 19. I don't.
Like, that zombie show was so important.
It really was for
yeah.
StrifeCro.
I think that was one of the most important draws that you could have done.
Well, what are we getting? And
Oh,
Dr. Boom, a little
and you
late,
could even
but
stealth it. And you
yeah,
have
I
to
would do
it.
that all day. You have to do it. Look at the amount of damage this guy's gonna deal.
And Kibler's face is like, oh, that's not bad. Yeah, not.
Not a terrible card to find. And there's no equality concept to go with this, so
So
StrifeCro, I'm sorry. This
you
is not...
go with Hero Power Quartermaster. I think that's what you have to do. Well, you kill the technician with the Pallet Shredder, right?
Yeah, see what comes out of it.
Or you just sacrifice? No, you can't. You don't want to risk killing one bomb killing the Pallet Shredder or the outcome after the Pallet Shredder. So yeah, that's definitely better.
So he does trade, and we're gonna see where the bombs go. If he even attacks a bomb. Oh
nice
man. Okay. If there had been an equality in that hand.
So
If there had been an equality.
double fireball is lethal. One fireball.
Oh,
one
wait,
fireball will be
7?
9. Wait. 6, 10, 13. That's 15.
Well, you just re-stealth, right?
Yeah, I think you do.
Easy life. When in doubt, just re-stealth. Oh
yeah,
man.
you just sacrifice. Well,
Are you afraid of the pyro though? Yeah, you kind of have to be afraid of the
I
equality
think
pyro.
you sacrifice the bombs.
Yeah.
Because you will have lethal with those 2 frost bolts anyway, unless of course there's a heal or low tip, but that Kibler can't play around it. So
Well, you have to frostbolt face at least once to make sure there's no true silver, and you just go frostbolt at least once, and then you can trade into the wild pyro if you feel like it. I wouldn't fault him for that. All right, well he's not going to.
Is he playing both frost bolts? That's really nice. Yeah, he's playing both frost bolts, I think.
You could keep one, but I wouldn't
That's
fault him
definitely.
for.
I think that's definitely clever to play both when if you draw a fireball, but he didn't go for that, so never mind.
Oh man, StrifeCro is just dead on board.
So it's 3, 6, 10, 12, 15 points of damage, 17 points of damage, what you can squeeze out of your cards.
But you can't find it lethal, and Dr. Boom getting double stealthed. That's
And you don't
essentially-
have any taunters.
No health, no health gain, no taunt. That's game. StrifeCro just falls down to the Mech Mage as Pally. Well, you know what they said? Paladin's good, but sometimes Mech Mage just gets that early curve that makes them want to die. Even with the zombie Chow, Mech Mage took the game. I'm actually really surprised by that. I feel like Paladin would stand an even better chance. I mean, does
You're
he run...
surprised by Dr. 7 into double stealth? I don't know, man.
I guess that's an auto win, right? If you just get him on turn 8 stealth, it's essentially the Archmage 2.0 if they don't have equality contact.
And if StrifeCro would have a big game hunter in his hand, it would be like, oh, that's so useless. Like,
Yeah, I just need flare.
twos-
Just find a flare. I mean, it's easy, right? You just borrow a card. Hey, Rexar, can I get that off here real quick? There's a finicky cloak field on the board.
I need that unsealable portals for spells, you know?
Oh yeah, of course. You know what? Like, I'd like to see one day in a tournament game, somebody unstable portal Mal'Ganis into Master of Disguise. Just once, you know, just once in a tournament setting to see people freak out. Hopefully Amaz is going to do it to Reynad. That's what I want to see today. I want to see Reynad getting Mal'Ganis with Master of Disguise just to see the salt
I
last
think
forever.
after that kind of play, Reynard would have to put a merchandise store on his website and sell himself as, you know, salt dispensers.
Salt shaker in the shape
Yeah,
of
salt
Reynad.
shaker,
You can
yeah.
get yourself one of those, $9.99, no problem. So yeah, I mean,
I think people
can't-
would actually buy that.
yeah, you know what they would with Reynad's face on it. Definitely, that would be pretty cool. So next match is gonna be the next game. Sorry, is gonna be the last game. They're both 2 wins so far. StrifeCro versus Kibler. So this entire series will come down to Druid versus Paladin, and I get a vague feeling Paladin has a pretty good chance in this matchup as well.
Mm-hmm. That can go either way.
Yeah, it's got the zoo factor with it. I mean, with the shielded mini bots and the jugglers and the
Yeah.
muster for battle, it's got that zoo factor to it. The druid can't handle. I mean, that's the biggest weakness of druid is exactly that. If you flood the board very early, and in fact, I think Reynad came up with a new mage deck that he publicized, or somebody publicized. I think was it today or yesterday?
You mean
Which
that
is a
fatigue mage with 2 mirror images?
It's not a fatigue mage. I don't think so. It's just a hyper aggressive. Well,
Oh, you
hyper-aggressive.
meant that. Okay, never mind.
Like the aggro mage with like you flood the board, kind of a zoo deck with Kirintor mage and Sorcerer's Apprentices, like the a throwback to some of the older aggro mage decks, but you know adapted with GVG, and that was pretty interesting. And I feel like if that deck is actually consistent and you can get it to be tweaked to the point where it's fine in tournament settings, it could be the new zoo, and I would be happy to see that. That'd be really nice.
The new zoo without Warlock.
Yep.
Doesn't feel like it.
Well, I mean, it still operates a bit like zoo because it's got a lot of board presence and everything sticks.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kibler has a really nice hand.
Oh, there's a wild
Rev,
growth.
and
Yeah.
and that Rev is also important against Paladin, you know? Just to kill that Peacekeeper.
Or even just the knife juggler. I mean, if you can't,
Yeah.
if you don't have your Keeper of the Grove for that knife juggler, you need a Wrath at the very least.
Well, my screen froze a little, so I might be...
yeah, mine is pretty blurry right now, but hopefully it'll stabilize. I still see what's happening, but let's say if a minion takes damage, I can't tell you how much health it has left.
Well, what can I say is that I really know what will both players do on turn 2.
Yeah. Oh man,
That's
Kibler find a
happening.
second wild growth.
So that's the second game with a second wild growth. And this... Well, he lacks the Ancient of Lore this game, so this might be not so good at all. I really
Well,
like the
it's
line of
coming
plays
next
from StrifeCro that he just dropped the Peacekeeper as a free. I really like that.
Yeah, it's like you played for tempo. It's like sometimes you play Earthling Farseer in this spot for the body, and that's pretty much the same thing. I mean, he's already at 30 health, so he wouldn't get health from the Earthling Farseer, but he's not going to do anything with the Aldor. The thing is, I feel like the opportunity cost of dropping the 3-3 is also pretty steep in a way, because you are losing the potential to negate a really big minion later on.
Oh, I don't blame him for playing the 3-3 because you just put board control, and I think that's most important thing against Druid. You have to get board control as soon as possible. The problem is when your opponent is having like wild growth and will just outrace you with the big minions. That might be a problem. But still, there was a second Peacekeeper in StrifeCro hand, so that's also a factor. Why did he play the first Peacekeeper? But I think he would play it anyway without even the second one, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you have a True Silver champion on the back end. You've got a decent mid game with Sylvanas, so you can stop the Druid from being overly aggressive.
You have to think, what will I do on turn 5 and turn 6? And I think playing Lotep and Sylvanas is kind of the best thing you can do against a Druid.
Yeah, you're on curve, and anything he tries to establish is going to have to get slowed down pretty drastically. Well, Kibler goes for his own Lotheb, so that will stop nothing. I guess muster for battle, but that wouldn't have done anything in this position. Well, StrifeCro has to make a call. I guess you just attack in the 1-2 with your 3-3 and then trade with your True Silver with a 3-2. Or you play your own Lotheb
is way better.
Okay, just getting the bigger body.
Yeah. You have the board control still, and there's no way of swipe coming down.
It's kind of interesting because Druid in this position, even if he had a swipe, wouldn't even be able to do much with it. I mean, he basically killed 2 minions, but gets no further initiative.
Yeah, the problem is that every single creature that is on StrifeCro's side is making a big problem for Kibler's minions, because the 5-5, if you trade the Lotep into one of the Peacekeepers, then you're very, very weak to Consecration. Especially with the second Peacekeeper, which will just trade for your Piloted Shredder, and then most likely the outcome will be a 3-2, which will die to Consecrations, which is really weak.
Yeah, and there's also the problem of Coghammer, right? You've seen that before, so if your Lotheb is on 2 health, everything's just suddenly looking even bleaker for you. You don't want to throw everything to the Paladin's weapons.
Very true.
That weapon is largely underappreciated. I vote that we just make a crusade, a campaign, to make people love the Coghammer even more. Don't see enough of it. Oh man. There's a swipe.
Well, the swipe is really important. So now you swipe. So you attack the no, that's bad. Wait, first was Piloted Shredder, right? Then Sylvanas was being played.
Yeah, he's gonna get something for sure, unless Force of Nature is played and he gets a tree, right? That's pretty much the best outcome Kibler could hope for, but even that's not gonna do anything, because the trees die, which means Sylvanas doesn't get them.
So you go Piloted Shredder into Sylvanas, you see the outcome, and then you decide what to do next. If it's a minion it's kind of valuable to you, you go with Force of Nature, trade. Well, it doesn't seem...
Okay, well that's interesting.
It's really a tough call if you want to kill those Peacekeepers. Like, you can kill one.
Oh, he gets a Snow Chugger.
Oh,
that's incredible. Oh my goodness. That hero power from the Druid now is negated, and the worst part is he can't actually benefit from the combo anymore. And StrifeCro has a little smile on his face here, realizing, well, Force of Nature Savage Roar is suddenly only 12 damage. If he does find it. Oh man, that's pretty devastating for Kibler.
Well, he has to play Dr. Boom right now, right? There's no other way.
Smash that boom. It's just...
You have to choose board control. Then on turn 9, you can play Rev, Swipe, Hero Power. Oh, no, you can't. You'll be still frozen most likely. Unless Snow Chugger will be used to freeze that Dr. Boom.
Oh, Muster and Quartermaster.
Wow. Turn 8. That's Dr. 8, right? Quartermaster 8.
Okay, there's no doctors in that team. Unless those guys are surgeons.
But you do that.
I really don't think so.
that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
There's no
Alright.
way Druid can make a comeback from that kind of board.
Yeah, summon the field medics and let's make the druid bleed here. I really don't know what he can do with this. I mean, there's no if Starfall were a thing at all, then I would say, yeah, there's a somewhat decent chance. But at this point, how do you even deny the value that Kibler is going to be forced to give to his opponent?
There's just no way you can win against that.
You need
Well,
double swipe might help, but it's not
with an
there.
Azure Drake on board, maybe.
Oh, you know what? No, I was gonna say you play your own Shredder, then you Wrath it, but even Doomsayer wouldn't help because it's not on your opponent's side. So what does it really do?
It will hit face.
Oh
I
wow!
said it.
The art of being useless
Well, you
by
lost the game.
Boombot.
3, 6, 9, 11, 12, and
Yeah,
for
he's-
Silver Champion and Consecration.
Yep, I was
That's
gonna
right.
seal the game.
So
Kibler doesn't see the
StrifeCro
lethal, but wow.
wins the whole match.
A really close series, though. You have to give that to Kibler at the very least. I mean, StrifeCro is one of the strongest players in the scene, and Kibler, I can't say played badly. It's just that sometimes the draws don't line up, and StrifeCro's Paladin deck was also pretty good with that Cog Hammer against the Mech Mage. That was a pretty good early game, and Kibler did win a really unfavorable. I guess the start of the game with the Zombie Chow and the Mirror Entity was really strong for the